welcome to another episode of the Larry Ohh Show. Got my co-host to the left of me, as always.
What's going on? It's John Phelps.
I'm Larry Ohh. This is an FL Studio production podcast where we talk about everything FL and everything music production related. Every single week, we do a massive giveaway where we give away every single one of my FL Studio courses from YouHelpMe.com. All you got to do to enter and win that giveaway is listen for the keyword or the key phrase here in this episode, drop it down in the comments on YouTube, and you're entered. Every single week, we pin the winners.
Easy as that.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about organization, structure in your beats, how to make your beats sound less repetitive.
Huge.
You know, I mean, how to catch a vibe, how to, especially if you're selling your beats, you're going to want to have some sort of dynamic in there for artists because they're not going to just want to hear like a loop. Sometimes some artists do like to hear just a loop, but I think it's really important to have some sort of dynamic, but also keep it simple at the same time. Before you send your beats out, put them on platforms, whatever.
And I think when you're getting started with FL Studio, you might just download the software, you get into the beats right away, you add everything in, and you might not know like how to make it dynamically change. And that's not really something that I think gets a lot of shine online anyways. Like, you can look up 100 tutorials on how a compressor works, but today we're going to go into how to format a beat in a way that's interesting for people.
Correct. And I also want to mention that later in the episode, stay tuned. Make sure you stay tuned because we're going to be doing a segment called Guess That Plugin Again, where I just got word before this podcast, where we're going to be giving away one copy of FL Studio Producer Edition to whoever gets it right in the comments. I'm going to be picking, there may be multiple people that get it correct, but whoever gets it correct out of those people, I'm going to be picking one person that gets a copy of FL Studio Producer Edition.
Come on now.
So stay tuned for later in the episode for that. But yeah, let's just hop right into the organization stuff. I have a beat that I just took from home. I sent it, and it's really just a loop. Everything is already split by channel. If you're not sure how to do that and you have a bunch of instruments in one plugin, I'll cover that real quick because that's a huge part of, I think, what every producer should do. Once you have, I feel like a nice loop, like an 8-bar type of thing where it's starting to sound like a little bit repetitive and you know that, all right, these sounds sound good together, but I'm going to eventually want to like drop out a sound or two. Like, I think that's when it's time to kind of split by channel. Just go to whatever pattern it is, right click on up here and just hit split by channel. And it's going to separate everything that's in that pattern. And if you have multiple patterns with multiple instruments, do that for every pattern. What's also cool about it is that it names it whatever the sample is automatically, so you don't have to name anything. So then we have a loop, and really this is just essentially like, I don't even know, like a 16-bar-ish loop, 32-bar loop. And that's a 16-bar loop. All right, so right away, what I do is I just highlight everything, control, click, and drag. And then because there's audio clips, I'm not going to hit control B because we talked about how that can mess things up if you have like that little bit of like dead space in there. So I'll hold shift, click, and drag, and then I'll just loop that. So that whole entire thing is looped like 4 times, right? And then come up with an intro, some sort of intro where you can just solo something out. That's like a main focal point that sounds like good by itself. I'll just do this. I'll solo some things out, listen to it. Or maybe this by itself.
That sounds cool. I like that right there.
Yeah.
That's an intro right there.
So then I'll delete things maybe up to like 8 bars, especially the drums. I don't want the drums to come in right away unless it calls for it. And then maybe halfway through here, I'll have this come in. So then I like to keep, especially nowadays, you don't want the intros to drag on too much. That might even be like too much.
That's kind of a long intro. I was going to say.
And that's only 14 seconds.
I'll have like the shortest intro lately. Lately, I've been just fucking with the short
It would probably
intro.
just have to be half that.
I might even just go like boom, boom, boom.
Just do like a 4 count
type shit.
I mean, you could do that too. There's options.
There's so many
let's
options.
Say if we wanted to do the Pharrell 4 count, I call it, chop a piece, so it'll be like, that.
Yeah.
And then I'll click Just chop them in. Copy and paste that whole shebang. And then sometimes it sounds good with everything. Sometimes you got to kind of pick and choose what to leave. Might be too fast for it. Maybe it'll be one of these. Right? Half of that. I don't know about that kind of intro. I think
so. With this, especially with the 4 count, it's we talked about this in a previous episode where it's like copy, or you can print the section and just make it an audio thing.
Yeah.
With the 4 count, I like to just like print it, short it like before it goes into the next hit, and just like work with it like that, because it's just like really what it's about is experimenting. You know what I mean? And I'll just print the sound because a lot of that MIDI has effects on it, has reverb, and all that stuff. That's gonna keep it from hitting extra hard. So if you print it, hard cut on
say like if you would like just highlight that little bit right there.
Oh yeah.
And print it.
Print that.
And then hit Alt R, hit start.
That's right.
Then you'll have just a little clip right there.
Whoo.
And that has everything in it. So then it's like, ooh.
Yes.
Clipping.
Perfect.
And then you could just trim it up. What do you think of dun 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 dun? Because the tempo is what it is, so it's either that or halftime.
Yeah.
And then you could get creative with it.
Reverb that or reverse that type thing.
Yeah, imagine like bringing one down, making it unique. I mean, we're getting kind of crazy here, but this is what you could do for an intro to really. This is the first few seconds that somebody's gonna hear in your beat, so you want the intro to kind of like stand out in a way.
Bang, yeah.
It's kind of important, whether it's really simple and the sounds, the melodies, the instruments kind of speak for themselves and they catch your ear right away, or if it's something like this where you kind of edit it, you work at it.
Oh yeah.
And then like this one can kind of fade out while this one fades up.
Oh yeah, that's smooth.
And you could even like fade the whole thing up if it's too much like right away. Do a little quick automation on that. Bring this guy up here. And maybe not start it from 0, like just a little bit, so it kind of
Hell yeah.
You know?
Of course.
I feel like that right there is gonna catch somebody. You're like, yo, what the hell is this? This is just like caught me out of nowhere.
Big facts.
Whereas you could go that other route and you could loop up an intro like this, or maybe half of that. You know, let's say we mute this, have this come in, and then just do some. Like I'll go to the cloud for something, maybe like a what do you call it? Like a riser. I think we're gonna need a riser anyways. When I'm formatting beats, bro, like I feel like it's just essential to have some sort of audio effects in there, whether it be like a riser or some kind of weird effect in the background. It kind of just that
texture is huge.
That little bit of ear candy kind of just.
If your beats are not using texture, you are not making beats right. You got to be putting different things up in the mix that people might not even register like what they're hearing. They're just feeling stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because you want to grab the person at the very, very beginning. And no matter, like, there's no format for doing it, but there's all sorts of like inspiration out there. Like, for instance, I'll always, like, even if a song has like a long intro, and I mean like long as in like 8 bars, 16 bars with just no drums and just instrumental, I always think of In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins.
Yeah, I mean,
where it's like it's just a long intro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you'll have a short intro song. It's really all about like what the song requires, you know?
So it just calls for it.
Bing, bing.
Like that's super loud, but like you level that out.
Put that 4 count in there with that part is gonna
With
sound,
it?
Oh yeah, I think so. It's gonna be crazy. Oh,
The combination of both of those,
Yeah.
bro.
come on, man.
The combination's
Bring
good
it
right
in.
there. So then I see it going into that, and then kind of mellowing out after that. Think about that. Maybe not. It might not be a hook, but I feel like all those instruments that are in there, I think, sound good after that build-up intro. So then I think 8 bars after that. I always kind of go for 4 or 8 bars. Switch something up. Take something out. Put something in. If you have what you feel like before, like I mentioned before, we would split mixer tracks. If you have something that you feel like is nice and full by itself, and it's enough to kind of play with, then experiment with dropping things out. Maybe not even adding anything, playing everything with all the instruments, and then dropping some sounds out. So I'm thinking around...
Let it progress.
Yeah, around either here or here, I'm going to do some sort of switch up. So I just want to hear that intro again. That's fire. Be right here with the chord changes up. So I'm gonna do something where sometimes I like to just hear how it sounds, stop the hi-hat, and then on the next snare bring it in, but I'll drop a sound as well. So something like this, I'll drop that main chord progression and maybe even have some sort of other like reverse sound. I think this is a reverse something, and it might sound good there to just kind of...
Another helpful thing is if you're a producer that knows and is somewhat familiar with like writing songs or recording your own songs, think about where the artist can kind of fill the pocket as the song develops. So like you think about it, all right, this is a quick intro, then I'm gonna let the beat breathe because this beat hits so hard, but then on the verse, you know, maybe drop something out or put something back in. I don't know, wherever it could be.
Yep.
Imagine a vocal over this.
Like, see how the vibe just changes right there? All it is that chord progression coming out.
Yeah.
Granted, that's not the original sound that I wanted because I'm moving this session over from mine, but still that gives the idea. And then see how that little like hi-hat stop? Maybe something like this. And it doesn't have to necessarily be this, but
see, like right now I'm starting to hear like a pre-chorus vibe where I almost feel like a hook might be coming right around this mark. And sure enough, the full stack just affirms that right away, where you could put a hook vocal over this, and then maybe the last thing that you really need is like a lead melody.
Yep.
And at the same time, you might even wait off on dropping the lead melody in there until the vocals are done. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why like keeping it kind of simple, not putting too much in there, especially if you're working with a couple of artists like personally. It's different. You see, it's different when a lot of producers are gonna be like putting it on something like BeatStars or Airbit or BandLab or whatever, like platform to sell beats. It's different. If you're working with somebody though, I think that's huge. Like that's what I've always done is like give kind of like a skeleton and then enough for them to catch a vibe off of, and then you can go back and rework it and you say, all right, there's some room right here, and I feel like we could intensify this a little bit more by adding some sort of lead melody on top.
For sure.
So, I mean, there's different. You know, I mean, you got to kind of, you know, judge it based on what your goal is, what your end goal is. You're going to put it on BeatStars, and then you might want to have it be more of a finished product. And then then you give them the option to say, all right, I want the stems because I want to like, you know, drop this sound out, do the X, Y, and Z. But right around here is just kind of how it's feeling, where like the next hook is probably going to end. Like this would be essentially like this hook. If we give like just a quick look at it, this is where the vibe changes up. And then another 8 bars here where it comes back in. And then this could be some sort of like pre-hook like you said, where this drops out with the hi-hats. And just because the hi-hats dropped out, it gives it that different vibe. And then maybe the kick and snare come out. I mean, the kick and the 808 come out. And then maybe take the snares out. And then I would throw something like, you know, that sweep back in there to intensify that little buildup. Bring it over here. delete this because this will still be the hook essentially. It's going another time. And then after this would be another verse. And what I like to do is literally just go up until that verse right there and copy and paste that whole thing over, knowing like I'll probably switch some things up, but it depends, honestly. Like if I'm just gonna send this out real quick to somebody I'm working with personally, like if I was to send this to you and you heard that loop like initially at the beginning and you liked it, I would probably just loop this verse and then maybe make a quick outro and just send it to you. And then again, rework it when you send me the vocals back or when we get into the studio together. Yep. But it's enough here. And then maybe you have some sort of outro, quick outro, you know, like that. And it just, it kind of just, it ends over there.
Look at that. You know,
and you got a 2 minute and 48, almost a 3 minute song, boom. 3 minute beat loop, but you have it formatted to the point where now you're giving the artist something to vibe off of. To
go in over. See, when you do that for an artist, it simplifies their life a lot of times because you're going from like, oh, I just sent you like a loop or whatever to here's the spot where there's need for vocals, hop up in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And again, with the leads and all that, even if you're shopping your stuff out to BeatStars, do what you want, obviously. But sometimes it pays off to just come up with like a nice little lead melody that is still gonna let the artist do their own thing over it.
Yeah, it's just less is more, and simplicity is key. And I know that's like
spend your time.
It's kind of hard to like. Saying? It's kind of hard to decipher that, but it's really just listening to music, kind of reverse engineering what's out there, what you hear, like, and just not like going overboard. Especially if your goal is to get artists and rappers and singers on your music, on your beats, you can't overdo it because you won't leave them room. You have to leave them room at the same time. You have to make a good beat to the point where somebody wants to buy it, hop on it, etc. I think because we're trying to keep today short a little bit, we'll hop right into the keyword, key phrase.
Run it up. For
the FL Studio course giveaway. 2 different things we're doing today. Today's keyword is Sheboygan. Don't ask me. The only reason I'm saying that, I think, is because I've been watching like Home Alone and like Christmas movies and stuff, and it's like an inside joke where John Candy at one point he says that she's like, "Where you from?" Like in the airport, he's like, "Sheboygan," something about Sheboygan, and it's always been like just a funny word, and it's like a town name somewhere in like Wisconsin or Milwaukee. Anyways, that's the keyword for today, Sheboygan. Jot that down on YouTube in the comments, and we're picking 5 people to win every single one of my FL Studio courses.
Fucking right.
But let's keep going with the organization, and then we're going to get into the Guess That plugin, where you, the listener, are going to be able to comment what you think is the plugin that you're hearing. We're going to be playing a plugin, playing a patch or a sound from that plugin. You're not going to be able to see what it is. You have to use your ear. And it's going to be a stock plugin as well. So we'll keep it make it a little bit easier if you haven't even seen this segment before. We've done a bunch in the past. But yeah, I think for organization stuff, I could do 2 hours on organization and like really spicing that up. But as far as you getting a loop done and getting it ready to either send out to a selling site or an artist that you're working with or want to work with, I think getting it to this point is key. Just listen. I'll play it back just a little bit so we can give it a listen, and then you could throw in any other tips that you want after that.
The snare is on some like 80s Phil Collins.
I love that snare. Some people might hate it. Making a switch every 4 bars. That'll be the hook. Then the hook plays that full section. and then it'll go again. It'll just repeat what I made beforehand, and that's enough. And it really depends what you're doing. If you want it more polished, polish it up. This beat definitely needs to be more polished, but it's just to give you an idea of how to format, how to structure.
And we kind of take this for granted, but when we say the hook, what we really mean is a good chorus. And a good chorus, if you're not familiar with what a good chorus is, it's a hook. No, no, but it's like that part of the song that people are going to want to sing along to. A lot of times, the first time that you hear it, or like at some point, you'll hear the chorus or the hook with every instrument involved because it's like this big payoff feeling. But you'll also hear the hook maybe sometimes without the drums. But you hear the chorus a few different times throughout. So like this is all sort of like we're saying all that to
subjective.
say yeah,
like a hook could be anything.
And you try different things out for sure. Like whether it's a catchy phrase that you said, or like maybe it is like a hook sounding chorus where it's like stacks of vocals, or maybe it's just a vocal chop that like you heard it and you're like, oh, that sounds crazy. It's like a melody hum or something. You know what I mean?
Or there could just be a bunch of switch ups. You know what I'm saying? And you don't put any labels on it. You let the artist decide for that. I mean, I'm just really what I'm thinking about is just making, a good dynamic format and structure.
Something that's going to keep somebody going.
Somebody could think that it starts with the verse. And the chorus is where everything drops out.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that. I'm just got that in my head. All right. That's my hook. That's my verse. That's my hook. That's my verse. But it doesn't have to be like that. I'm not sending, an outline to the artist. Say, this is what you have to do here. This is what you have to do here.
Never do that.
No.
Never do that, because your vision might not be the same as the artist, and at the end of the day, you're seeking the artist to go on to your song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And another thing is like, see, Larry's got some good transition sound effects in here, but what you notice is that they're all kind of like blended in, so it's not like too invasive. Now, what I don't think is totally necessary when you're just, say, like uploading or sending out emails is to do like all the crazy cuts and all the crazy like tape loops, because a lot of times an artist
depends on the lyrics too.
The artist is going to hear that and be like, go to the next one. That's just that's literally just a loop.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's literally just a loop, and they'll take that one because it doesn't have all the extra bells and whistles. You know?
Because it could interfere. I save a lot of that stuff for when somebody sends me the vocals back.
Yeah.
And I throw it in there, and I'm like, oh, the way that they said that, it just seems like it calls for me chopping the beat up a little bit right here, or dropping the drums out right on this word and bringing everything back on this word. Like things like that where I get ideas once I hear the vocals.
Yeah.
That's just the process I have. I work a lot with artists like hand in hand, and I'm involved in that process, whereas you might not be. So just, I guess, take it with a grain of salt, and it depends on what you're doing.
A master with that is, I got to give a quick shout out to my boy Clark Work.
Yeah.
Because I'll show up to a session with him with literally just a beat, and he'll hear something in the lyrics and just be like, chop it however way, put a tape stop on it, whatever. Man. And it's a whole nother like feel to the lyrics. And it goes back to what you said, it goes off of the lyrics, like the lyrical component.
Yep.
Yep.
If somebody it just depends. Like if somebody says the word down, like I might want to like do some sort of vinyl stop on the word down, like just things like that you're not going to think of unless you hear the lyrics. But again, it depends on what you're doing and what you're going for. But I think we could get into a little segment called Guess That Plugin.
Yes.
So in this segment, I think what we'll do is I'll ask you, John. I'll do one with you real quick. We'll do like one multiple choice, and then the next one after that will be for you at home watching and listening wherever you are. And if you guess the plugin right, jot it down in the comments. I may be picking one person that gets a copy of FL Studio Producer Edition. Shout out Image Line and Josh over there for doing that this week.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Can we turn the TV off quick? Like
turn the TV off. Turn that TV off.
Turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. I've been waiting to do that. I'm gonna start playing that for my kids. Watch.
Turn this TV off. Turn this TV off.
Thank you. All right, so let me pick a plug-in here.
Turn this TV off to the kids.
Yeah.
Time to go to bed. Get your ass to bed. Get your ass to bed.
All right, let's see what we want. Again, this is going to be stock plugins only. Okay. All right, I think I got one. All right, I got one. Ready?
Here we go.
So, multiple choice. We're going to give 3 options, A, B, and C. Is it A, Ogun? Is it B, Harmer? Or is it C, Autogun? Ogun, Harmer, or Autogun?
Is it Ogun?
No.
Heated.
Wrong.
Heated.
All right, 50-50. Autogun or Harmer?
Harmer.
Wrong again.
Yo.
It's tough. It's tough. I think I have a losing record with this. I think you have a losing. It's tough, yo.
Yeah.
Even with like,
I think the comments got us. The people in the comments be sniping them though.
They do.
So
and I don't know how, bro. I feel like maybe it's like not an on the spot type of thing because they could just kind of sit there and maybe, all right, I think it's this one. Let me play a couple sounds from it. Let me play a couple sounds from this one and see if it's that. But yo, some people get it down to the preset.
Yeah,
like
they
some
know.
people be like, yo, that's Autogun preset, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
By the way, Autogun is like the most like different plugin that there is in here. It's like all you do is click left and right on these, and it has like a sound goodizer button in the middle. It seems like, and you just click left and right, and it says the preset is Foggy Breath, and it plays with flavor and still whispery
Hey yo.
and vibrant. Sounds not far from a Moog.
Yo, and by the way,
Gives you an explanation of what the preset is.
By the way, if you guess the plugin and the preset, you're disqualified. You ain't getting the master. You ain't getting the FL Studio, bro.
cheating.
You don't need it. You don't need it. If you guess the preset, you don't need another copy of FL, bro.
Okay.
You're disqualified.
So this one is for you at home. I'm going to pick a plugin right now, and hopefully, editor, Josh, please edit this out and don't show the screen on this one.
Thank you, editor Josh.
All right, so this one I'm going to choose. Let's go with this one. All right, and I'm just going to click like a random preset. Or actually, yeah, random preset. This one has a funny name to it.
This is that Taco Bell.
All right. That's the sound. That's all you get.
That's the IBS.
All right. Multiple choice for everybody at home. Is it A, SimSynth? Is it B, Poison? Is it C, Morphine? Which one is it? Whoever guesses it right, I'm going to be picking one person that gets a copy of FL Studio Producer Edition. Shout out Image Line, FL Studio, and Josh over there for doing that. And I think with that being said, we can wrap it. Keep it short and sweet this week. Thank you for watching and listening all the way to the end. And if you haven't already, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with a friend if you get me.